Another great title, Katie Farris, Standing in the Forest of Being Alive. Fantastic title. Wonderful book. It's a book that has the body as arena. It's an arena for poetry. It's the body as book, the body as collection, the body as stanza. It's about breast cancer, about the recovery from breast cancer. It's about being alive through that. But it's also beautifully about itself. It's about how you write about it. It's kind of, in an odd way, a book of instructions as to how to write about what is happening to the body, so that maybe in years to come we can look at this book and think, yes, that is how we begin to write about ourselves when things happen to us. Which isn't to say that it's a sad book, it's a funny book, it makes you laugh, it makes you think. There's a great line, on page 34, one must train oneself to find in the midst of hell what isn't hell. And that is such a great couple of lines, to find in the midst of hell what isn't hell, which is what so many poets try to do, and what Katie Farris does really well in Standing in the Forest of Being Alive. Katie.
Hello. On my way from my chair to this podium, I had a lot of time to think about my choices in life, and a lot of time to feel incredibly grateful for this night, for all of you, most of whom I can't see, thank God, for the judges, for the T.S. Eliot Foundation, and most of all for this incredible group of poets. And I'm so grateful to have been able to hear every single one of them before it was my turn. So I wrote Standing in the Forest of Being Alive beginning in August 2020, when I was diagnosed with breast cancer at the age of 36. And writing the book came very much apace with not just my diagnosis, but the chemotherapy, the surgery, the radiation. And I had a copy of the pamphlet that the book was based on in my hands almost exactly the day that I finished my radiation treatment. So this book is very much of a moment and a time. So I'm going to begin with why write love poetry in a burning world? To train myself to find in the midst of hell what isn't hell. The body bald, cancerous but still beautiful enough to imagine living, the body washing, the body replacing a loose front porch step, the body chewing what it takes to keep a body going. The scene has a tune, a language I can read, a door I cannot close. I stand within its wedge, a shield. Why write love poetry in a burning world? To train myself in the midst of a burning world, to offer poems of love to a burning world. If you can imagine, once upon a time, a long braid about down to my hip or so, the illustration for this poem. In the event of my death, what used to be a rope descending my vertebrae to the basement of my spine grows thin. In solidarity with my first chemotherapy, our cat leaves her whiskers on the hardwood floor. I gather them, each pure white parenthesis, and plant them in the throat of the earth. In quarantine, I learned to trim your barbarian hair. Now it stands always on end, a salute to my superior Barbary skills. In the event of my death, promise you will find my heavy braid and bury it. I will need a rope to let me down into the earth. I've hidden others strategically around the globe, a net to catch my body in its weaving. And now for something completely different. This is called Rachel's Chair. Once, many years ago, we made love at a friend's house. We were overnight guests, not perverts, on the whole. But what I am trying to say is she owned a chair so perfect for lovemaking, we joked about asking to take it home. If I had only known then how rarely we would find such objects, I would have. I've got many brothers, just buckets of brothers everywhere you look, and most of them are in the trades. One makes airplane parts in the graveyard shift at a factory, one's a contractor, and so on. This poem is their favorite in the collection. So this is called Quid Pro Quo, a dedication. You said we could replace our lumpy 20-year-old mattress if I wrote you a poem. So here's your goddamn poem. It's a little easier when the room's smaller because you can really see that change of the page, but anyway, it's fine. Finally, and thank you one more time, this poem is called What Would Root? Walking through a cathedral of oak trees and bristlecone pines, scolded by squirrels in their priestly black, their white collars wagging with the force of their scolding, I was struck simultaneously in both eyes by some sort of flying detritus, pollen or seeds, and stopped to lean against a rock to scrub it, I thought, away. It was May, it was May, it was May, and the air was sweet with pine and island mountain lilac. The squirrels, I mentioned them already, etc., and the lizards ran down the spines of rocks like a bad feeling. I could see everything. Red-headed hummingbirds dipped their beaks into the little red hoods of penstemon, and I, a redhead, could hear everything. A red-crested woodpecker who was not offended, I did not know his name. Everything smelled green. It was all green, really. Even the red was anti-green, and though my eyes ached from everything seeing, I could taste the granite in the spring. Oh yes, I drank water from the ground. I was wild even then, though the squirrels scolded me and tried to convince me I was not. Soon I crested a rise. The land spread itself greenly for me, and I wished I had seed to toss into that green just to see what would root. My right eye would not close to this view. Why would it? But when I reached up to touch it, I felt there was a twig emerging and another from my other eye. That they were a part of my body I could not doubt. They were living and enervated and jutting out. I sat down, feeling the hairs on the back of my neck, understanding for the first time they were not hairs, but roots. Everything was everything. The twigs in my eyes tasted sunlight with my mouth, the roots drew the salt from my sweat into their vacuum, and I was no longer hungry. Everything. It was all green. The roots in my skull shifted, and I laid down beneath my own branches. I had to wiggle a bit to find a place to lay my head. The rock was very hard, and I needed softer ground. Yes, a place for the top of my head to come off, to nuzzle into the earth, to drink. Thank you.
Thank you very much to Katie Farris and to all our readers tonight. The readers will be down in the downstairs area to sign their books. The results of the competition are announced tomorrow. You can hear all the poems, or some of the poems from all the poets on my Radio 3 show, The Verb, this Friday night. Let's have a moment of silent appreciation for the people on the live stream who never heard a thing, but never mind. That makes us feel more special because we were here, so that's a good thing. Warm round of applause for all the poets and our great sign language interpreters.